Dakota hear on the radio a truck coming, and he said, "This is Whirlwind Chaser coming out of, South Dakota," or something like that, and they hear this voice, and he tells them to go to this sacred Indian mountain to do penance in this sacred mountain in South Dakota. So the person who made that movie, why am I bringing it up? I was showing how this book even influences Native Americans. He'd obviously read this book because he knew the name Whirlwind Chaser. And you see, Whirlwind Chaser is the medicine man here that helps cure black elk. He's the one that brought me back to life. So that's an interesting little bit. My father gave Whirlwind Chaser the best horse he had for helping to cure me. And so this is when he has his first vision. And he keeps on here having visions all the way through his life. I'm sure now that when I was then too young to understand it all and only felt it, it was the pictures I remembered. The words that went with them, nothing I'd ever seen with my eyes was so clear, so bright as these visions. Of course, being in the environment he was encouraged to have visions. Being in your environment, you guys are not encouraged to have visions. I mean, if some of you have a vision, you go tell your mom I had a vision, she probably said, "Look, go and take a shower, you better go shopping, please, because you're really losing it." These people want people to have visions. That's considered a holy thing. The evening of the day I got back, Whirlwind Chaser, who had a great name and a good horse now for curing me, came over and sat down, and he said to my parents, "Your boy there is sitting in a sacred manner. I don't know what it is, but there's something special for him to do. But just as I came in, I could see a power like a light all through the body. And while he was looking hard at me, I wanted to get up and run away, for I was afraid he might look right into me and see my vision. There and then maybe all the people would think I was crazy. For a long while after that, whenever I saw Whirlwind Chaser coming, I'd run like heck and hide for fear that he might see me." So we go on to some of this bison material here, but I think the next chapter, Soldier's Town, is pretty interesting because it shows how things are developing here. I'll keep it just till quarter after since we started late. A lot of the people have come in. A small part of the Oglala started south to Soldier's Town, which he says is a place called Fort Robinson. And I have a footnote too, you probably have it as well, that we're talking about all these different Sioux tribes. Oglalas, Bruyas, Sansart, Black Kettles, Hunkpapas, Miniconjus. These are names that we have all maybe heard of at some point, but we didn't know who they all are, and neither do I. But he's a member of the Oglala. And the Oglalas, a lot of them stayed in the country with Crazy Horse. That's the first real mention of Crazy Horse, aside from his being a relative of his. And he would have nothing to do with Wasichus. Wasichus, these foreigners, whoever they are, all of us. And then the queer feeling that I had left me, and I was not bashful anymore. So it's when he gets this queer feeling. Here's the thing. I was 10 years old, the next page or so, around 48, before I ever saw Wasichu. At first I thought they all looked sick. I was afraid they might just be in to fight us any time, but they were frightening people. But I got used to them because he was around the fort. And one of our boys that winter climbed a flagpole and chopped it down. Red Cloud, who was the leader, we mentioned him before, stood right in the middle without a weapon and made speeches to the Wasichus and tried to calm the Wasichus down because of this Indian child who had cut the American flag down. And he told the Wasichus it's foolish for men to want to shoot grown people because little boys did foolish things when they played. So Red Cloud was a great chief and nothing happened, and that was really something. This is around the year 1868 when the treaty with the Wasichus had been made 5 years before, so it's 1873. We're getting up there. When is Custer Massacre, which is a big high point of this book? 1876. Anyway, he never fought again after the treaty. He was living at Soldierstown. Crazy Horse, I thought was the greatest chief of all, and he wouldn't commit. So they talk about this buffalo hunt here and Soldierstown some more, and some of the offerings they make. And let's see, chapter 6. I don't see much here that we need to, just the story about someone bringing in some horses to get a wife. Chapter 7, page 59, I think. It was in the summer when I was 11 years old, 1874, that the first sign of the big trouble broke out. That was the time. Just that evening, just before sunset, a big thundercloud came up from the west. And it was like in my vision, and it made me feel queer. Strange is probably a better word today. And I got a stone and I acted as though I was going to throw it. And the swallows I saw seemed holy. And the next day some people were building a sweat teepee for the medicine man by the name of Chips. So they were going to have this sweat teepee. I'll just quickly look at this one last page before we go, page 60. Afterwards I learned that pahushka. Who's pahushka? Well, that's the Indian word for long hair, and that's Custer. It's also, they call Buffalo Bill that because he had long hair. And led his soldiers into the Black Hills. He had no right to go there. The country had been given up. The Wasatchus had made the 1868 treaty with Red Cloud that the land would be ours as long as the grass should grow and the water flow. That's an actual quote from the treaty. Later I learned too that Pahushka had found there much of the yellow metal that makes the Wasatchus crazy. What's that? Gold. And it's true, I guess it does make a lot of people crazy. And that's what's made the bad trouble. And just as earlier when the 100 were wiped out, that's when his father was wounded in that battle with the 100. And we stayed that winter at Soldierstown. We heard the Wasatchus had come from Missouri to dig in the Black Hills because Pahushka had told them with a voice that went everywhere. Later, he got rubbed out for doing that. What's the voice that went everywhere? The telegraph. Guys, sorry to keep you. Thanks for bearing with me. We'll try to get through this next time. If we can get through it, bring your DXLRs too. Time's wasted, and I apologize for being a week behind. Everyone's in the same boat, and I'm sure you hate us all for that.
We're about 30 yards away. Well, then if I